Hey guys, so as promised, I'm back here to make a video to answer your questions. So I've gathered the most recurring questions and the most recent ones as well. In this video, I'm going to try to answer most, if not all of them, and take it one by one. I'm going to take them in order of frequency and in order of importance. The first one being a question that I'm getting asked a lot and I never get around to answering to it, but it's about the Coimbra protocol. Now, as you may remember, I made a video about this protocol of high doses of vitamin D, extremely high doses to combat multiple sclerosis. Even though I flirted with this idea very much and I was this close to meeting with a doctor in Italy, at the last minute I refrained from going to this meeting. And why was that? Well, firstly, there's a long list of things that you're not supposed to do while being on the protocol, such as changing your diet and even changing the type of water that you drink. So even just thinking about all these rules that I would have to follow felt like more of a constriction than simply just dealing with a chronic disease. That's only my point of view, and that's how I feel about it. Secondly, there's a thing that it's not recognized officially by neurologists in hospitals, at least not here in Europe. There's that whole idea of distrusting the medical system and going against the medical system that I don't know how I feel about. I'm not crazy about the idea of detaching myself from the good treatment that I'm receiving. And that's just a personal experience. I know that there are many people out there who are unsatisfied with the service they're receiving from their caregivers. So for these two reasons, I've decided not to follow the treatment. And there's a third reason perhaps, which is that I am not crazy about the idea of putting enormous amounts of a substance into my body, because the therapy is quite recent and we don't know what the long-term side effects could be. Now, second question. My marijuana treatment has awoken a lot of interest, I read. This marijuana treatment is not smoked, fortunately, because I'm also not crazy about the idea of inhaling. I'm worried about my lungs because of the family history of lung problems. I used to be a hardcore smoker. I deeply regret these years of putting in so many deadly chemicals into my body. Now that I've stepped away from being a smoker, I really would like to refrain from smoking any kind of substance. So luckily the treatment that I get is a spray. It's a distilled form of cannabis. It contains equal amounts of THC and CBD, and I just take a single spray before going to bed. It helped me fall asleep, and as I said, it really helps with the tremors and spasms in general. Another question I've received is how I feel with yoga, doing yoga, and if I am doing it right now. I have to admit that even though I've taken many teacher trainings and I've spent a lot of money on educating myself as a yoga teacher, I am currently not teaching that much, only once a week. As for my own private practice, I'm not that disciplined. I think that may be partly due to the fact that I can feel my muscles becoming weaker. I really don't want that to happen. And I feel that when I do yoga as well. So what I'm focusing on right now is strength training mostly, and yoga once a week. And how does it help me? Yoga has really given me a deep understanding of my body and a deep knowledge of how to react to my symptoms and how to work on my symptoms, such as spasms or tremors. When I say that, I mean that I've learned to breathe through these symptoms. I've also noticed how breathing can help me diminish these symptoms in a quite noticeable way. To me, yoga is something that is just present throughout my entire life on a daily basis. Every minute of my day, I remember the teachings of yoga. Now, as a follow-up to that question, I've also been asked if MS has affected my breathing in any way. It has, most definitely. I think it was one of the first symptoms I experienced, that all of a sudden I felt short of breath. And I felt like I needed to yawn constantly to get a sensation of filling my lungs. This does come back at times, and it's deeply annoying. And there's nothing I can do about it other than just try to remind myself to breathe deeply into my belly, rather than trying to focus on getting air into my lungs. That helps to some extent. It helps me distract from this feeling and from the uncomfortable feeling of yawning all the time, because you do get sort of dizzy from all that oxygen that you're inhaling. My tip for that is just focus on breathing into your belly and try to distract yourself from the chest. Now, I've received questions about my diet. Even though in the past I may have focused a lot on what kind of foods I ate, I have found recently, and ironically, that the best way for me to cope with this disease is merely just living. And I find that there is so much hysteria around foods and suspicion around types of foods. There are so many potential foes out there, such as gluten, dairy, meat, processed foods. This last one, processed foods, I do agree that is something that you have to stay away from. But other than that, I have chosen to simply just relax about that and eat a varied diet, a little bit of everything, nothing in excess, not obsessing about anything. That's what works for me. It may not work for others. You may feel better by eating a specific kind of diet or a gluten-free diet. And next, I've been asked how I cope with the heat. To be honest, I don't have any particular techniques, as what affects me the most is the cold, which is one of the reasons why I left the cold north and came down to the Mediterranean, which is considerably hotter and the weather is considerably easier on my body. But with the heat, apparently I am experiencing symptoms, so I don't know. Luckily, like nowadays, you get a lot of places with air conditioning. At work, I have air conditioning, which actually has the counter effect of making my body too cold, which then makes it stiff. I would rather it be hot. Yeah, so no real answers as to how I deal with the heat. It's not really a problem for me. Everyone is different for that. Some people suffer from the heat, some people suffer from the cold. In my case, it's the cold. And last question asks for how to reach out to me. If I have Facebook, Instagram, or anything else, I do welcome you to send me emails, which several people have done already. And I am very pleased to read through these emails and to answer them and create a connection through that. As for Facebook and Instagram, I believe my Instagram account is linked to on this website. And as for Facebook, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, so you cannot connect to me through that. I hope this has answered all your questions, and if you have any further questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will provide a written answer to your comment. Thanks for listening today. I'm sorry if my voice is a little bit weird. I have an ear infection at the moment, so I can only hear myself and I don't know what I actually sound like. In the meantime, I hope you're all well. As usual, take care of yourself. I will be back soon with another video. Bye bye, guys.